The life of a priest is so diverse. Prayer is the nourishment for everything that we do. We bring to God as well the struggles and the questions and the challenges that we meet in daily pastoral life. In order for us to be that bridge to Christ, we have to know ourselves inside out and very well, and know that person is being put at the service of God and of His people in priesthood. For anybody who is thinking about priesthood or has thought about priesthood before, it's something I would ask them to take seriously, because if it genuinely comes from God, it will be something that He will help you to discern as a true calling and ask you to follow it. My name is Brian Fitzpatrick. I'm priest of the Diocese of Dromore, and I am the parish priest in the parish of Moyraverty and Seago, two parishes in the northeast, in the northwest of our diocese, in County Armagh. I'm also the vocations director for the Diocese of Dromore. I was growing up in the 1980s in rural County Down. I was one of 5 children and was blessed with a mother and father. My mother's now deceased, God rest her, but we had her all through our childhood and teenage years. And both my mum and dad were people of faith, and people who naturally lived that faith out without being ostentatious about it or without being showy about it, but they lived the faith and made it part of our family life and the community life, because it was a community of faith in a parish where it was part of the daily routine and the weekly routine of our lives. Influences, I suppose, that were most important to me were those certainly of my parents. They were the ones who taught us about prayer in a very natural and normal way. I just always remember that we prayed together as a family at night time. I laugh because we prayed in the morning, but like every family, it was a rush to get the kids out to school in the morning. So once my mother got us into the car to drive us to the bus stop for the school bus, that's where she had our attention. That's when we prayed together as we were making that journey to the bus stop. So it was very much part of just the thing that you did as a family and together. I remember growing up in the 90s, in the early 90s, when I was a young teenager. You know, the world news was the Gulf War, and I remember that when I was at the Christian Brothers School, the brothers formed a prayer group for us to pray for peace and to pray for peace in the world. And it was a very immediate need, of course, but it was a lesson really, looking back now, on thinking of the bigger needs of the world and of a God whose concern is for the peace of the world and for the people who suffer in the world and who suffer innocently, even though suffering on that scale certainly wasn't part of my life. But it was important that I grew to understand God has a wider view and cares for all peoples of all cultures in all parts of the world. I suppose just my ideas about God, my thinking about God was growing and maturing as I grew and matured myself. And that was helped as well by being in the company of other people of my own age with faith. And that was through the likes of the Legion of Mary and the prayer groups for peace. But when you go to school and you become a teenager, you know, there are people who begin to make you question your faith. There are people who don't practice faith, or it's not really an important part of their lives, and so you have to begin to ask yourself, well, what does this mean to me? My first thoughts of priesthood came when I was an altar server, when I was 8, 9, 10 years of age, and I was serving Mass and asking myself, is this what I want to do when I grow up? And I was asking myself, do I want to be a priest as well? Now, that didn't really stick very strongly with me through my teenage years. As I went to school, I developed a love for science and for maths and for maybe the subjects which aren't immediately associated with religion and with faith. And I was very lucky to be able to have good teachers for those subjects, and I carried those right through to my A-levels, my final subjects in school. And by the time I was leaving school and making choices for life ahead and for career, I was thinking about priesthood, but I really didn't know how to go about it. It wasn't part of the courses that were offered by the universities that we were thinking about. I didn't know where or how you became a priest. And at the age of 18, as I was leaving school and making these choices, I do remember thinking, if I begin training to be a priest, now I could be a priest by the age of 24, 25, and I don't know if I'm ready to make a decision to be celibate at that age yet. So because I was studying the sciences and maths, and I was interested in medicine and in pharmacy and careers along those lines, I applied for medicine and got a place in medical school after I finished my secondary education. So that seemed to me, once I began the course in medicine and was happy and made friends and was engaged, I remember thinking, well, this must be for me rather than priesthood. That must have been a bit of a fancy, but nothing that was a serious vocation. And so I continued my training. I loved my time in college. I had a good time and made good friends and thrived on the learning and the experience of clinical education. And I became a doctor and was so pleased to be doing that. And through my time in university, I continued as a person of faith, as a young man of faith. I got involved in the parish where I lived as a student. I joined in pilgrimages to Lourdes as a medical student, as a youth helper, in order to work with the sick and to help them have a good pilgrimage on their journey to Lourdes as well. I think the time in study and in medicine was an important time. It certainly allowed me time to grow and to know myself better and to form my own sense of myself and my place in the world and my relationships beyond the home and beyond my childhood friends. And those were all very important experiences for me. And in the course of study that I chose towards medicine and the work that I did for 6 years after I qualified, I had the chance to see how God revealed a plan to me, but also how the importance of science and faith together can do a lot for good. It's a question that comes up for a lot of people who say that science has nothing to say about faith and faith has nothing to say to science. And I think the experience I had and the way that I was able and very grateful to be able to be a person of medicine and someone who studied the natural sciences, was to be able to see God's hand in that as a person of faith. My ideas about priesthood had really gone away for the time when I was a student and I began to work as a doctor. But the thoughts about priesthood came back again maybe after about 3 or 4 years after I'd qualified. And at first they were no more than just thoughts about, should I be a priest? What about being a priest? And that was influenced, I suppose, by sharing the company of priests at a social level whom I'd grown to know through chaplaincy or through my pilgrimages or even just the priests who are now in my parish at home and like me were adults and could develop a friendship. So I didn't really know how to answer that question or what to do about the kind of thoughts about priesthood that I was having. And I kind of remember thinking and saying and praying to God, where's this coming from? I mean, I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing, thank you. I'm not really looking for anything else. And it was kind of light-hearted in the way I said it, but it was a serious question too. I felt quite settled. I felt quite happy in the work that I was doing. It's obviously important work. And yet I had to ask, is God calling me away from this to do something else? And I didn't really tell anybody about it for some time, but the first people I began to explore the idea with were friend priests who I was friendly with. And they knew what I worked at, they knew my background, my family, and so I felt comfortable to be able to say to them, why am I getting these thoughts about priesthood, and is this something I need to take seriously? And they were very helpful with me. They taught me to be patient. I had to continue doing certain professional qualifications and exams, and they said, just take your time, do those, and in the meantime continue your prayer. And they gave me some books and websites on discernment that could help inform my decisions and inform my discernment. So I eventually brought it closer to home, and I spoke to my parish priest, and he did something that was very useful to me. The most difficult thing that I faced was picking up the phone to the vocations director at home and saying, hello, Father, you don't know me yet, but I think I'm called to be a priest. And when I went to see my parish priest at home, who knew me well and who had a few ideas about what I was thinking about, he was excited in a mild way, if I can put it that way. And he said, well, have you spoken to the vocations director yet? And I said, no. He said, just let me, I'll ring him in the morning for you and he'll get in touch with you. So I was very grateful for him for taking that first step out of my hands and opening the relationship with the vocations director for me. And once that meeting with the vocations director took place, then I was able to give more attention to the call. So the vocations director helped me to work through my discernment towards that. And then when I was ready, he took my application and helped me through the application process to the bishop to become a seminarian. My years in seminary were very happy, and I feel very blessed to have had the experience of formation both in Maynooth in Ireland and in Rome in Italy. And those were both very, very rich experiences, and I think the fact that the time flew, those 6 years, just shows that I enjoyed it, and it was generally a very happy time. We examine our personal, the depth of our person, and our suitability for priesthood, and that's to do with knowing myself, with my maturity as a person, with my friendships, my relationships, the ways that I deal with conflict and deal with attraction and deal with celibacy, and all those questions that are very much personal. But the primary work of formation is on the person himself, because it was Pope St. John Paul II who said the priest must be a bridge for others to Christ and not an obstacle. So in order for us to be that bridge to Christ, we have to know ourselves inside out and very well, and know that person is being put at the service of God and of his people in priesthood. So those kinds of experiences helped me through the challenges of seminary formation, where you test and you push your own calling, and you kind of deal through the difficulties of seminary life. But it was also supported and strengthened by my formation as well. The standout moments in my formation would certainly be through the friendships that I formed in seminary. My friends to this day, some of my deepest and closest friends to this day are people who I journeyed through seminary with. Some of them are priests today, others are not, and they left before ordination, and we remain close friends ever since. I also treasure the experience of liturgy in seminary as well. My year as a deacon helped me to develop my skills as a preacher, as a very important part of a priest's life as well. But the standout day, of course, is your day of ordination as a priest, and I was ordained in 2014 along with my brother seminarian, my brother priest, Father Colum, and we were ordained together in the Cathedral of St. Patrick and St. Coleman in Newry on a beautiful June day. It was a very moving day. It was a very proud day for my father and my family. It was a day I was blessed to have so many friends from different walks of life with me and celebrating with me the call that God had made. And the actual moment of ordination, which is preceded by the prostration on the floor, the litany of saints, and then the laying of the bishop's hands on my head with the prayer of consecration that follows, was profoundly moving and so fulfilling in many ways. Well, after ordination, my bishop asked me to take up a role as a curate in a parish, and those early years as a priest under the leadership of a parish priest are very important times, and it was a very formative time for me in among the people of the parish where I worked. The life of a priest is so diverse in diocesan priesthood. You've got all the ministry to people like those that I've mentioned. You've also got the celebration of the liturgy, and you've got the catechetical role of helping individual people to grow in faith, particularly those who come to you at important moments in their lives. There are the many young couples whom we come to prepare for Christian marriage, and we seek to catechize them in what God is calling them to do. They have reached a stage in their lives which, as young adults, they often require catechesis in what Christian marriage asks of them and what plans God has for them as husband and wife in today's world. So we do quite a lot of work like that, which is important with couples who are preparing for marriage. and trying to support them after they're married as well. So it's a very fulfilling life. I find it's one where the thing that I enjoy about it very much is meeting people at so many moments in their lives, and there's something different that comes up every day. No 2 days are the same as a priest, and it's a privilege that people ask for me to bring something of faith and God into their lives and into their situations. And I'm very blessed to work among people who have very strong faith and support us priests with their prayers, along with others who maybe aren't all that active in the church or active in faith, but come to us in moments of difficulty or of need. And it's then that we try and bring the closeness and the compassion of God to all who open their hearts to Him. Prayer is the nourishment for everything that we do. We certainly pray for the people who we encounter in our daily lives. We bring to God as well the struggles and the questions and the challenges that we meet in daily pastoral life too, and we seek the guidance of God's Holy Spirit to do, to say, to express God's closeness to His people in all their times of need and necessity, and also in joy and in celebration as well. For anybody who is thinking about priesthood or has thought about priesthood before, it's something I would ask them to take seriously, because if it genuinely comes from God, it will be something that He will help you to discern as a true calling and ask you to follow it. It's something that I experienced as flitting and transitional in my earlier life, so don't worry if it comes and goes a bit, but if it comes back and it persists, then it's more likely to be genuine and it's worth talking to someone about it. I would say to you that even if you haven't mentioned it to anybody yet, or if it isn't something that you're comfortable talking about yet, I would say be, in your general life, be a person of faith. By all means, attend Sunday Mass and be part, if you can, of parish groups, maybe chaplaincy in a college or university. Get involved with other people of faith. Maybe join a faith group in your town or in your parish, and share the experience of faith with people of your own age, and also draw close to people who work in faith, whether they're chaplains or priests or whatever, and just observe and see how they minister, and ask yourself, is this something that God is calling me to as well? And there are so many diverse ministries in the church that it may not be priesthood you're being called to. It may be a ministry as a catechist, or as a permanent deacon, or as a religious sister. So it's something that is worth praying about, and certainly speaking to someone who you can trust with the questions that you have, and bring them to the Lord in that way. And I would say if anyone has ever suggested to you that you have a vocation or that you could be a good priest, don't treat that lightly. Take that to heart, and maybe ask them if you can, or ask yourself, what did that person see in me that made them think I would be a good priest? And that's a very important question, which it's worth taking some time over, because the priest is a person who brings his whole personality to the ministry. Therefore, if you are an introverted kind of person or an extroverted kind of person, there's a role for you in priesthood, and that is to be to be discerned and tested with the help of a formation team and a vocations director. But I would say bring it all to God. Trust God. If He really wants you to be a priest, He will keep calling, and the call will not go away. So He'll be patient with you, and I would say be patient with Him as well. Sometimes when we get sometimes when we feel pretty sure that the call is genuine and we're called to be priests, we want to get started straight away. But the church usually allows us to take a year or two of discernment and conversation and accompaniment in testing if that call is genuine and if it comes from God indeed. So God is patient with you. Be patient with God as well, and if it's for you, the church will guide you in that way towards vocation to priesthood.
Lord and Savior, bless us with holy priests. Through their ministry, may your life-giving presence in the sacraments always be present in your church. Amen.